Oh, hey, I didn't see you there. Just let me just turn around real quick and Hey, I didn't see you there. Well, since you're here, you want to learn some things? That's alright. Well then, let us start. We're going to be talking about basic essay structure, fun editing marks, and we will look over some of my past work and use it to talk about the essay writing process. So back in the beginning of the school year, I decided that I wanted to work on a text adventure to practice my Java for my computer science class. I did not want to make a boring text adventure though. I wanted to make something more memorable, and I cannot write anything cheery. So I began by planning out some story points and key details. I have selected, as our main piece, a section of this planning stage. There are 4 steps to the essay writing process: planning, drafting, revision and editing, and submission and publication. This is what I originally wrote. Yeah. Here, let me clear that up. Much better. This is the original plan for the section of the text adventure. Planning covers several ways of getting ideas out and several parts of getting things out onto a page, including research, brainstorming, outlining, and making sure it is understood what needs to be written about. In short, ideas need to be brought out of the realm of thinking and into some other concrete medium. I wrote a general summary. I focused on how I wanted to make the person experiencing my story feel. I wanted to make the person feel uneasy and force them to make decisions that had consequences. But most of all, I wanted to show how easily the main character would do horrible things. There are diverse ways to do planning, but what matters, especially for a non-fiction essay, is that research is done into the topic at hand, and this is used to develop the basis for your essay. This taking of nebulous ideas and making them physical is what allows an author to produce the finest first draft they can. That is right. First draft. More than one draft should be made to ensure the best quality of work is done. That first draft is especially rough because you only have whatever you planned out before to work on. But a great planning stage will make a magnificent first draft. And the better the first draft, the better the product will be. I will fix up this basic plan into an actual section of story that could be adapted for other purposes. There we go. That took a little bit longer than I thought it would. Okay, so now I have an actual draft to work with. But then I just copied it down on another piece of paper because I forgot to make it double-spaced. As you can see, I expanded on the ideas that were present in the plan. I did not invent a bunch of new points, since I was working with something I had already planned out. I added more details to further flesh out the points I did have. A first draft gets the ideas that were planned into some shape on the page. It contains all the pieces of an essay, no matter what kind, even if the wording or structure is not all there yet. Every new draft will be better than the last if one focuses on amplifying the thesis and writing clear and concise language to introduce the topic through an introduction, fulfill one's intent through body paragraphs, and then conclude the essay and close one's final thoughts through a conclusion. Of course, after every draft, which is 12-point, double-spaced, and in Times New Roman, to make a revision and reading easier, one must mark what is not good enough to keep. The fun part is now marking up the first draft. These are the symbols that this class will use to mark up drafts. These marks ensure that later the thought process can be understood and precisely what is wrong and needs to change is clear. For example, here, I misspelled the word familiarity, and so I marked it with the symbol for misspelling and wrote the correct spelling underneath. This sheet with all the marks is so helpful for editing and revising because it allows us to see very easily what we marked, why we marked it, and what the fix was. Now, because these words often get mixed up and confused, we need to define what editing is versus what revising is. Editing is the process of fixing spelling, typographical errors, punctuation, cutting down, shortening, and improving phrasing, and using more concise language. Revision is the changing, rearranging, and cutting of material in writing. Alright, now that this is a completely revised and edited piece, one would write a second draft of it. But today, that won't be done. It is important to know and understand that you are never really done with a piece of writing. You just simply run out of time. One could keep editing and revising and perfecting this piece, but the deadline is in 2 days. Or it was in 2 days. And I still have to edit and revise this footage, so this piece should be ready to be seen, even if it is not perfect. Students should take advantage of the time given to ensure that they write the best possible, and generally at least 3 drafts should be crafted before one even considers submission. We have a rubric for essays in this English class. Shocking, I know. Here it is, and we are going to go over a few points from it. One thing I struggle with is the introduction, specifically writing an attention grabber. The rubric is just a checklist for our essays, and because I struggle with writing attention grabbers, when I go over the rubric with my first draft, I will specifically look for an excellent attention grabber, and if it is not there, I will make sure to add one in the next draft. I think the aspects of the rubric that are most important are the clearly stated thesis and fully developed paragraphs, because if an author has a confusing or overly broad thesis, then the reader will have a harder time following and accepting whatever the author puts forth. And undeveloped paragraphs lead to a dissatisfaction in the reader that prevents them from taking away from the essay what the author intended. That is all I have to say about the essay writing process and the rubric for this class. I hope this is an exciting year.